I can't even keep this to myself anymore. I have to tell somebody about this. So I am recording this video on July 5th, 2023. So last night, after, food and fun and games and all of that with the family on the 4th of July, I came back home and I started watching Titanic, of all things. You will not believe the weird dream I had. Okay, so boom, I'm at the house watching Titanic, dozing off because the movie lasts 17 days. And I'm trying to hang on at least to figure out why it was that, everybody loved this movie and called it a great love story. But I remember kind of hating this movie and I couldn't remember why. And so it got to the point where the ship, split in half. Put a pin in that. That's going to be very telling later on, right? And I got to the point to where, Jack is in the water and Rose is, lounging comfortably on her California king bed, that had plenty of room for him to get on there too and get out of the water. And yet and still, he stayed in the water and froze to death. And that's when the ancestors came after I dozed off after that. That's when the ancestors was waking me up in my sleep like they were mad at me. So boom, let me tell you what happened. And before I even get started, let me tell you, this is not a joke. I'm not joking at all. I was horrified. So I'm laying in the bed sleep, kind of like Rose was laying in that California king bed, lounging, living her best life while folks around her was dying. So it was as if I were on the water or under the water, and the ancestors swam up and said, having fun today? You wouldn't have been free on Independence Day. And I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? And then I hear, we did that. I'm like, what is happening? I'm like, where is this voice coming from? Like, what is happening? I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like I'm talking into the void. Remember how dark and pitch black it was out there? It said that boat, all them fancy people on that boat, keep playing in the Atlantic, and we're going to really have to show you. Honey, it's as if they were trying to insinuate to me that some of the souls that was lost during that whole transatlantic thing was the reason why that boat steered into that iceberg. Child, when I tell you, I remember like shaking in my sleep. And then I hear, and the Titan, we did that too, because they don't learn. I couldn't think of what the Titan was though. Like, this wasn't making sense to me. That submersible thing, that whole deal came to me later. This is what jolted me out of my sleep, though, was when they said, don't believe me? I heard, check the date. And that check the date was ringing in my ear to the point it jolted me out of my sleep. Honey, it was 3:30 in the morning and I am up shooketh, scrambling around trying to find some Tylenol PM to put me back to sleep so hard that I don't have any more dreams. It wasn't until I woke up this morning that I remember the rest of what, and I'm using air quotations here, the ancestors were trying to tell me. It was stuck on the image of that boat being the split in half part. Tell them the real divide is class. I remembered that part because, I had to wake up and watch the last 16 hours of the movie to actually see like, well, what happened with Rose and the guy that had, his arched eyebrows and way too much makeup. Sis, I don't think that he liked girls. I think that, we'll talk about that another time. But I remember the whole phrase of the crux in the middle of it was, tell them the real divide is class. And that clicked in my head when I woke up and I saw this Umar discussion from the post that I made yesterday, spiraling out of control. What the ancestors was trying to say is, this is a smokescreen. Race is a smokescreen. America was built on racism. So the whole gag that they try to get you all to fight each other on is race. But the real divide, when it comes down to the come down, is always going to be riches. It's going to be money. Because as you can see, everybody on that boat, except for that one dummy, but everybody on that boat was white, light white, spicy white, tan white, different versions of white. But where was All Lives Matter when that ship was going down and they sent several boats out half filled? They didn't even care about those people's lives. See, that class system and the people who lived in first class, that was on the first class of the ship, second and third class, those third class people, they were so busy trying to make sure that them rich people got on them boats, they were holding those people back at gunpoint. Don't get on these boats. Women and children first. But after the women and children, the most of the men that got put on there were still of that, the wealthier aristocrat class. And that's what they were trying to tell me. Y'all so worried about race, you need to be worried about riches. It's all about the haves and the have-nots. And so anyway, for you All Lives Matter people, just look at how they sat there like they were watching a movie when poor white people were dying and they were safe, because that's all that mattered. Last but not least, this video has over 18,000 views across my different platforms, hundreds upon hundreds of comments. And I mean, I had to delete a lot of them because you all just got a little bit violent and ridiculous in the comment section. I'll be putting together the response video for this tomorrow. I'll start working on that tomorrow so I can go ahead and get that out as far as you all's answer to this question. So go ahead and subscribe and follow and share now and do all of the things because you won't want to miss it.